right, hello and welcome to today's webinar. This is a webinar on Google Drawings for graphic organizers. This session is part of a series of free webinars that are being offered every week or two by the Stark Portage Area Computer Consortium, or SPARC for short. SPARC is an information technology center up here in Northeast Ohio, where we support about 30 school districts. However, this webinar is open to everyone who would like to watch, and we would like to welcome all the people that have joined us live today, as well as those folks who will be watching a recording of this in the future. Great to have you here with us. Before we get started today, we're going to share some important links with everybody that are related to this session. So you should be seeing those now. I'm going to mention these three real quick and then take a moment to visit each of those so that you can see all the information that we have prepared for you here today related to this webinar. The first link that I want to make sure everybody's aware of is the link with all of the session resources. The address for that is tiny.cc/spark200. We'll visit that in just a moment to show you what it looks like, but that's where you're going to find the handout for today's session, a slideshow, a collection of lots and lots and lots of templates for graphic organizers with Google Drawings, as well as many other things. And again, we'll go to that page in just a moment to show you what's there. The next important link that we want you to be aware of is we do have a Google document that we've set up for any questions you might have today. So at tiny.cc/PD questions, you'll see that there's a Google Doc there that is editable by anybody, and you can type in any questions or comments you have. We would love this to be as interactive as possible, so certainly feel free to use that link. And then lastly, the third link I want to share with you guys is our main technology integration site. This way you can find out about other upcoming webinars, you could view recordings of past webinars, any other technology integration resources we have. All of that is available at ti.apps.spark.org. And again, we're going to visit each of those sites real quick here, so make sure you have that information. So let me go ahead and pop out of this screen here for a second. There we go. And let's go ahead and go to our first link, which is tiny.cc/spark200. Again, that is, let me see if I can bring this up for you guys here. Give me just a sec. I'm going to unshare this screen. There we go. Howdy, everybody. And I'm going to go ahead and let me go ahead and bring that up here for you guys. So I'm going to share that again, and we're going to switch over to that screen. Here we go. Excellent. So from the first link, tiny.cc/spark200, this is the website that we've set up that has all of the resources for this webinar today. So what you're going to find here are a number of things. There's the help guide, and I'll give a click on that so you can see what the help guide looks like. Put together a fairly detailed help guide all about using Google Drawings for graphic organizers. This help guide is available for you to access through that session resource page. Goes into great detail about all the things you need to know about creating graphic organizers with Google Drawings. There'll probably be more details in the help guide than we'll be able to cover in our time here together, so if there's anything that you need more details on, definitely refer to that help guide. That is the first link that you're going to see there on the session resource page. Below there's a link to the slideshow that we're going to be going through in just a moment to introduce most of these concepts. And then maybe one of the most valuable resources on the session resource page is the link below there for graphic organizers. What I've done is put together a list or a collection of lots of different Google Drawings that have been set up as templates for graphic organizers. And we're going to take a look at quite a few of these in our session here today, but on this page you'll see we've got about 25 or 30 of these Google Drawings that have been created as templates that you can use as graphic organizers to get started with, or modify them however you might need to. In addition, on that main session page, we do have a link to the chat document that we mentioned earlier, so if you want to ask any questions or give any feedback, please feel free to open up that Google document, and you can add your questions or comments to there. And then finally below there is a link for the evaluation on the session. We'll talk about that at the end as well. And if you would like to get a contact hour, a certificate of attendance for 1 contact hour for watching this training video, we do have a quiz you can take at the end that will then, when you pass that quiz, that will send you a certificate of attendance for completing this webinar. So again, all of that is all available at tiny.cc/spark200. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead now and do a quick introduction of those of us that are here in the room. So I'm going to unshare my screen there for a second. So howdy, everybody. My name is Eric. I'm Eric Curts. I am a technology integration specialist here at Spark, and I'm joined today by my co-worker, Anthony Luscre. Pop over here, Anthony, and say hi for a second.
Hi, this is Anthony.
And Anthony's going to be keeping an eye on the Q&A document as well as some other things while I'm doing some of the presentation here. So we're very pleased to have everybody, again, with us live, as well as those that are going to be watching this recorded in the future. All right, fantastic. Well, what I'm going to do, the plan is I'm going to go ahead and start with a quick presentation. So let me go ahead and pull that up. And give me just a sec to get that up on the screen here. And once I have that here, I'm going to switch over to that presentation. There it is. Excellent. So let me switch on over to that presentation. All right, there we go. So again, this session today is all about using Google Drawings for graphic organizers. And this slideshow that we're going to run through real briefly here is also linked in, just as everything else is, on tiny.cc/spark200. So you can get to this later on, as well as the handout and all the other resources that we have there. All right, very good. And again, I introduced myself a moment ago. Hi, I'm Eric again. If you want to get to any of the links about other things that I'm plugged into, definitely go to the slideshow, and you can pick out links to lots of other things that we're involved with, including our Spark Google User Group, the Google User Group of Ohio, as well as many other things. But for today, here's what we're going to be doing. Here's our agenda for today. We're going to be talking real briefly about why would we want to be looking at graphic organizers, and then why is Google Drawings a good tool for creating graphic organizers. We're then going to take a look at 3 different levels of how you could use Google Drawings to create graphic organizers, so that students of any age level or experience level would be able to plug in and take advantage of these. And then we're going to finish up by talking about collaboration options, as well as publishing what you create as a result. All right. So first, real quick, a couple of things. Chat a little bit about the benefits of graphic organizers. Now, if you're watching this live or recorded, chances are you're already probably sold on graphic organizers. You already think they're a great tool, so you probably agree with all of this. But real quick, just to mention, graphic organizers are a great tool for students. It's a great way to help them plan and brainstorm, to find relationships between concepts, to organize their ideas, to classify things, to make connections between different concepts. It's also a wonderful thing for students that are more visual or logical thinkers. Gives students another option for communication rather than always doing maybe a slideshow or some other sort of a presentation. A graphic organizer is another way that they can show their knowledge. But it's also great for you as a teacher to determine whether the students do understand what it is that you are presenting to them, because they have to then take that information and then connect those ideas together. And so a graphic organizer is a great way to assess student knowledge as well. Now, there are a lot of tools out there for doing graphic organizers. You've got things like Inspiration and Kidspiration, which are very popular tools. Those are installed locally on your computer. But then there's a lot of web tools, things like Lucidchart, MindMeister, MindMub, Creately, on and on. Lots and lots of great tools out there, and I definitely would encourage folks to explore them all. There's lots of great reasons why you might use one versus another, and you definitely want to take a look at all those. And we even have a link here to many, many more that Anthony put together of a list of dozens and dozens of other tools that can be used for mind maps and concept webs and graphic organizers. However, for our session today, our focus is going to be how you can use Google Drawings for to create graphic organizers instead. And there's a lot of good reasons why we might want to take a look at that. What you'll see here is that, first of all, it's free, which we always love that. That's a fantastic thing. It's easy to use. You can jump right in and get going with it right away. And Google Drawings, of course, like all of the Google tools, it runs online. So, well, that's great. That means you don't have to always be at the same computer. A student can start their work at school, then they can finish it when they're at home. They can be on their personal laptop. They can be on a school desktop. They can be on a Chromebook. Anywhere, anytime, as long as they can get to the internet, they can get to their graphic organizer documents. Google Drawings works with your Google account, so if your school is a Google Apps for Education district, fantastic. You don't have to, students don't have to learn a new username and password. They can just jump on with the account they've already got. Beyond that, there's lots of great things about Google Drawings for graphic organizers. It allows collaboration so students can work together. It comes with tons of pre-made shapes that you can insert. There are connectors, curved and elbow, that you can connect together. All the different shapes you put in. We'll be looking at all of that here shortly. You can insert images from the research tool. You can insert images from many other sources as well. It does allow for hyperlinks. If you want, you can share a Google drawing as a template so that students would be able to then make a copy of that and create their graphic organizers off of a template you've made. And then students can also download, share, or embed their final product. So a lot of great reasons why Google Drawings is a powerful tool and a good alternative for creating graphic organizers. Now, what we're going to be taking a look at here today is a couple of different levels of how students could start creating graphic organizers or using graphic organizers with Google Drawings. And I've kind of broken these up into 3 levels, although they're not completely, each on their own. There's some blending and blurring between them. The general idea is this. Students don't have to be Google Drawings experts. They don't have to be graphic organizer experts. You can use Google Drawings for graphic organizers for very young students by using what we're calling pre-made activities. And we're going to take a look at those in just a moment to start with. Things where they can just jump in and start using them without having to really know a whole lot about the tools. A level higher than that, we're going to talk about fill-in templates, where the students need to do a little bit more work. You kind of give them a structure that they work off of, and then they fill in information based on that. And then we're going to go all the way to the end, creating from scratch. And we'll talk about how you could go just from a totally blank Google document and build a graphic organizer from scratch. And again, this is a continuum. It's a spectrum. Some of these, kind of blur into the other, but the idea is that no matter what age level, no matter what experience, there's ways that students can use Google Drawings for graphic organizers. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to talk real briefly about the first 2 categories, and then I want to show you a bunch of them. We'll jump out of the presentation, and we're just going to take a look at a bunch of these that I've put together to show you how pre-made activities and fill-in templates could be done. So first of all, just a quick reminder again, when I talk about a pre-made activity, basically what I'm saying is somebody has already put the graphic organizer together. Somebody has put the shapes in. Somebody has put the different images in there. And really, it's pretty much just up to the student to manipulate them. They're going to drag and drop some images and shapes around. They might connect some of them with arrows. They may fill in some shapes with colors. But for the most part, they're not adding anything new to the graphic organizer. It's already there. They're just sort of moving things around on the screen already. So this could be especially useful for young students. Now again, we're going to open up some of these and take a look at them in person, but the idea could be things like we've got a season sorter organizer here where students would grab images and drag them into the appropriate boxes for the seasons. Here's one where you move these different phases of the moon around the sun to show the cycle of the moon changing. Here's a butterfly life cycle diagram where, again, you would put these into the correct order to show the life cycle of a butterfly. And then this last one here we'll take a look at as well, and that's a circulation diagram. Now this one's completed. I did a screenshot of what it looks like when it's done, but showing the blood flow through the body. And again, we're going to jump into some of these live here in just a second. I do have, again, like I mentioned, we do have a folder that has all of these already in there, and we'll pop back over to that in just a moment. Now, Hand in hand with that, we've also got what I'm calling fill-in templates. So this is a little bit more as expected of the student. In this case, what you're doing is you're providing more of a structure. You've built the general skeleton of the graphic organizer, and then the students are simply entering text or maybe adding some images in there to complete it, but they're going to be doing a little bit more typing in a case like a fill-in template. And again, there's many examples of that, and again, we'll open up several of these, but I've got like a sandwich chart or a question chart or a Venn diagram. Things again where they've got something to start working from and they're just going to be filling in the information more. And again, we've got lots of those in the folder that we're going to look at. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to pause from the slideshow and let's go ahead and dive into and take a look at several of these options here. So let me go ahead and pop out of this. And hello again, everybody. We're going to go ahead and switch over to my other screen here. And we're going to take a look at these different templates. All right, so let's share that screen instead. All righty. Excellent. Now, again, just to make sure you know how I'm getting to this collection of templates, the main link for everything is tiny.cc/spark200. And when you go to that website, that's what shoots you out to the session resource page where you'll see, again, the help guide, the slideshow, and right here, right below there, that's where I've gone to the graphic organizer's collection of fill-in templates and pre-made activities. That link is what's taking me over to the Apps User Group site where I collect lots and lots and lots of my Google resources over there on that site. So here's what I've done, guys. I went ahead of time and I built a whole mess of templates. So as you see as I'm scrolling down through here, again, 20-some or 30-some different templates that all would fit somewhere in the categories of a pre-made activity or they would be a fill-in template. And what I want to do is I'm going to start with some really basic ones, just show you how they work and kind of work up to some more sophisticated ones. And then when we're done with that, we're going to shift gears and go over to what about creating from scratch? What if you wanted to, you yourself or your students, create a graphic organizer from a blank page? But we're going to start with some that have been pre-made for us here. Now, in each one of these cases, these are read-only templates. I've shared all of these as read-only, so if somebody were to open them up, they would need to make a copy of them before they would be able to make any changes to them, which is a really good idea if you're creating templates for your students. So I'm going to start off with the season sorter that we talked about just a little while ago. So you'll see down there we've got season sorter. Going to give that a click and open that guy up. Give that a moment to open up. Now I'm logged in as me, so I actually have edit rights since I am logged in as me, but so that I don't actually change the original template, I'm going to do what students would need to do, which is to make a copy of the template. So I'm going to go ahead and come up here and click on File, and I'm going to choose Make a Copy. And that's what a student would need to do. Because these templates are shared as view only, they can't actually make changes to the template, which is, again, what you would want. You would not want them altering the original. Instead, you would want them to click on the template, go to File, and then choose Make a Copy. And at that point, it's going to ask them to give a name to their new version of this drawing. Now I'll just leave it as it is, but maybe they'd enter their name or something like that to make it specific to them. I'm just going to leave it as copy of, just so that we have a quick copy of this and I can show you what that looks like. And here we go. So now I'm no longer editing the original master template. I've got my own copy of this. And so this is really pretty much, like I said, the most introductory level where you as the teacher or somebody else, you've built this graphic organizer, and now it's really just up to the student to manipulate it. So in this case, it's a simple season sorter where they basically need to come in and grab these images and drag and drop them into the correct categories based upon the season. So, you know, a turkey for Thanksgiving could go in the fall, and then, you know, here's a snowman that could go in the winter, and a sun that could go in summer, and of course you get the idea here real quick, a flower in the spring, and so on. They could keep just moving these around, dragging and dropping those in there. So something that a very young student would have no problem being able to do and take advantage of this graphic organizer even without a whole lot of knowledge about that. Well, let's just go up a little level above that. So let me go ahead and let me pop back, and I'm going to open up a different one. And again, I'm going to move through these pretty quick, so definitely feel free to go back to this folder at any point you want and dig into these on your own, but I'm going to move through these pretty quick today. The next one we're going to take a quick look at is called This Week's Weather. So let me give a click on that one. And again, I'm going to make a copy of this so that I'm not altering the original. So I'll go File, Make a Copy, and now I should have, in a second here, my copy of this. Now, here it comes. While this is coming up, what you're going to notice, I did something a little bit different with this one. The images I actually put off to the side of the drawing, and that's okay. You're allowed to do that. That main area here, what you'd call the canvas or so, that is what you would see if you were to download or export or embed your drawing somewhere else. People would not see the things off to the side, but what's nice is you can still use that area to hold things. So in this case, what I've done is I've put in a bunch of icons of different weather, and this is this week's weather chart. And the idea is that the students would copy and paste images from the side over into the different days to keep track of the weather. So rather than dragging and dropping like that, instead they would come in and they would simply edit copy and edit paste, and now they'd have a copy of that, because who knows, maybe more than one day is sunny and you need to use the sun multiple times. So a little variation to the one that we just saw before, with a little bit more skill being needed as far as the copying and pasting. All right, let's keep on going. I'm going to pop over to our next example. For this one, let me go ahead and go to the State Research Web. So I'm going to give a click on State or Country Research Web, and show you that this one is, again, very, very accessible for students. So there's not a whole lot that they're doing as far as creating things. They're really pretty much just typing things in. In this case, I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger here. Let me expand that so you can see it a little bit better there. I won't make a copy of this one because I'm not really going to make any changes to it. I'm just going to show you real quick. In this one, basically what the student would do is come in and they would type, just double clicking here, and they would type in the name of their state or country, and then in these different boxes they could enter information about famous people, natural features, goods and services, cities, symbols, and history. And so this is just a web that would allow the student to do research on their state or country that perhaps they're going to do a report or a presentation on. All right, let's keep on going. All right, up next, another one similar to that would be the sandwich chart. Now I've got a black and white and a colored version of the sandwich chart. We'll go with the colored version and give that a click. And again, I'll make this a little bit larger so you can see that a little bit better there. And I won't make a copy of this one. I'm not really going to make any changes. I'm just going to show you real quick the sandwich chart, a very well-known graphic organizer for those of you who work with students on their writing. In this case, this helps students to come up with the sentences for their paragraph. The top bun is the topic sentence. They can just double click in there and start typing. Then you've got detail 1, I guess that's lettuce I went with for that. Detail 2, I believe that's a piece of cheese. Detail 3, that's our hamburger. Medium rare, I'd say, perhaps rare. I don't think that one's been cooked very well, but that's the way I like them. And the concluding sentence is the bottom bun. And so in each case, the student is simply coming through and double clicking on these different items here, and again, typing information in. All right, so far the first few, really not a whole lot that the students have been doing other than, you know, typing in some text, dragging and dropping some things around, lots and lots of examples that function like that. Well, we could, though, start moving along the spectrum, like I said, from really, really easy to things that get a little bit more involved as we go. Let's go now to one that's a little bit more sophisticated, and it is the season sorter that doesn't have pictures in it. Because sometimes you might want the students to, instead of you giving them images of their own, you might want them to go out and find their own pictures and then bring those images into the graphic organizer. So let me show you how that works. Again, we're just kind of moving from one end where it's very, very basic, and we're moving along the spectrum as things get more involved as we go up. So in this case of the season sorter, I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of this so that I can play around with it. And want to show you some, there's a lot of ways to put pictures in, and we're going to get deeper into that when we build our own from scratch in the second half of the session today. But for this one, I'm just going to show you a real quick option for students, and that is using the research tool. So in this case, what I've got is again, winter, spring, summer, and fall, and I want to take images and drag them over into these boxes. But to get the pictures, I'm being instructed to use the research tool, which means to click on Tools and then click on Research. And what that does is it opens up a panel on the right-hand side where students can look up things including web pages and quotes and scholarly articles, dictionary definitions, but also images. So this is a fantastic way for students to be able to find pictures to then drag and drop into their graphic organizer. So in this case, I'm going to choose over here in the search box from the little drop down, I'm going to choose images. Then I'm going to type in what I want to search for. So, you know, again, maybe just a snowman would be fine since we are in the winter right now. And as I start typing in snowman, you see I'm getting a lot of different pictures here. Some of them are clip art related. Some of them are actually photographs. And really, it's fine. I mean, there's no reason why a student couldn't use one versus another. Just a couple of quick heads ups though, if they are wanting clip art, then you definitely can just include that in the search term. So instead of just typing in snowman, I could type in snowman clip art, and now it's going to be much more what you might expect with traditional clip art. Now, if you really want to go one step further, you don't have to do this, but if you want to, you can also tell it what kind of an image you want to look for, and probably one of the more popular options would be PNG. A PNG clip art is going to be a clip art that most often is going to have transparency around it. What I mean by that is when you drag it over, it won't have a big white box around it. It should be see-through. Now, not all the time, but typically it should be see-through, which can be nice rather than having the big white box around it. Well, we'll just give one of these a try now. So we typed in snowman clip art PNG, and again, we didn't have to. We could have just typed in snowman or just snowman clip art. But if I decide that I want one of these, I'm just going to click on him, drag him over, and drop him in winter, and here he comes, and yes, he does have the transparency with him. See, that's good. I can see around him. This is not all filled in white there. And so once I've got the snowman dropped in there from my research tool, I can, of course, click and drag him around. If he's too big, I can grab these little blue handles in the corner to shrink him up so he's smaller. And then probably the only other thing I would do in a case like this, when you pull things in from the research tool, you'll see it comes with a link to the original image, which is fine. But if you don't want to have that link there anymore, you can click the little remove link there, and it will just leave the image now as just an image and not linked out to the original. Okay, so that's an example of the same tool we saw earlier, but with a little bit more student engagement, where instead of just moving the pictures you've provided, they're going out and they're doing the research and they're thinking of terms that would make sense to put into this as well. All right, well, let's keep on going. So next up, let's take a look at another one that's kind of similar to that. That's the word study diagram. I'll open this one up and just show you real quick that this would be very similar. We don't really need to do this one, but I'll just give you the quick look at it. Again, the idea is the student is going to come in here and they're doing a word study, so they're going to enter the word here that they're studying, and then they've got boxes for synonyms they can type in, boxes for antonyms, a box for the definition of the word. They can use it in a sentence here, and then over here they can put in pictures related to the word. So this would be another great time for them to go and open up the tools and the research, run a search for images over here, and then after they find images, drag those images over that relate to that particular word. And again, I won't really make any changes to this one right now, but wanted to show you it's very similar to that. All right, now let's go even deeper in. We're going to take a look now at a butterfly life cycle example. All right, so let's open this one up. I am going to manipulate this one, so I do need to make a copy of it so I don't mess up the original. So File, make a copy. Now in this case, we're moving a lot more to the other end where the student is going to be required to do a whole lot more here. In this case, moving things around, but also connecting them. And so this is going to be the first time where we start discussing how connections work in Google Drawings to connect things together. So first of all, we need to put these guys in the right order. And, you know, I mean, it just depends on where we want to start. But we'll say we've got some eggs that are going to hatch into a caterpillar, that's going to crawl itself into a cocoon, that's going to emerge as a butterfly, that will later lay some more eggs. And so the first thing I need to do is just make sure I put everything in the right order, which we have. But now we're being instructed to, after we do that, to connect them together with the curved connector lines to create a diagram showing the life cycle, and also to put arrows on the end of the connectors to show the proper sequence so we know what order things go in. All right, so how does that work? How do you do connectors with Google Drawings? Well, there's a couple of ways to get to connectors. One is up in the top toolbar, you'll see that there's a bunch of buttons up here, and one of those looks like a line. Well, right next to the line, there's a little down arrow that if I click on it, you see I can put in regular lines, I can put in arrows, but I can also put in elbow connectors and curved connectors. Now these are special. Rather than just being a line or an arrow or a curve or something that's just floating around, these will actually hook into the shapes and stay attached to them, which is what you expect usually when doing something like a graphic organizer. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the curved connector, and again I got to that by clicking on the little down arrow next to the line. Now if I wanted to, I can also achieve this by going up to Insert and then going down to Line and then going over to Elbow and Curved Connector. Either way is fine if you want to use the menu or if you just want to use the quick toolbar button. But I'm going to choose Curved Connector, and as soon as I do, notice what happens. My cursor changes into a little plus sign, and now whenever I go above any one of these shapes, I get these little purple circles at the top, bottom, right, and left of it. And so what I can do is I can take my plus sign, my cursor, put it right on one of those purple connectors, click and hold down, and I can drag out this curved connector that once I get to another shape and I click and I put it above the purple circle, once I let go, it connects. And then I can do it again, purple circle to purple circle, and again, purple circle to purple circle, and again, purple circle to purple circle. Excellent. When I'm done with that, I can just click off of that by clicking on my regular select arrow. And now you'll see if I grab one of my shapes and move my shape, the connectors move with it. So these are actually connected together, which is fantastic. Now the only thing that I still want to do is throw in some arrows here to be able to show the order in which this is happening. So the way to do that is to simply click on the connector, and with it highlighted, you'll see up in the toolbar I have some buttons here for the arrows or the end of the line at the start and the end. So the beginning of the line and the termination of the line. So I have to think, okay, well, where do I want to put an arrow? Well, because I drug the arrow or the line from the butterfly to the eggs, that's the order it goes. The butterfly lays the eggs. So that's going to be the termination. That's going to be the end of the line. So I'll put an arrow on the end of it. Same for this one. I drug from the eggs to the caterpillar, so I want to put an arrow on the end of the line. And I went from the caterpillar to the cocoon, so an arrow on the end, and the cocoon to the butterfly, an arrow on the end. And so you can see very quickly that I can create this nice diagram to show the order of the life cycle of a butterfly. So a little bit more sophisticated than some of the things we saw earlier. Now, another one similar to that is the circulation diagram. Let me show you that one real quick. This is about the last ones we're going to look at before we start building our own. So let me go to the circulation diagram. Oh, here it is. And in this one, same idea, but for a more advanced student. In this case, what we're looking at here is the flow of blood through the body. And so what we've done is we've given the student 10 different items, and they need to be able to arrange those and connect those with a connector to show how blood would move. And you've got things like the atriums and the ventricles and the lungs and the aorta. And then after they connect them together and put arrows to show the right order, then they're instructed to fill in the color of these with light red and light blue to show oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Now, because this one would take a little bit of time to do, I went ahead and finished it ahead of time, and I'm going to drag this over, and here we go. Okay, so there we go. This is a finished version of that one, and you'll see that what I've done is I've moved them all around, and then I've connected them with arrows, and then I've colored these in. So let's talk real quick about coloring and how that works. with any shape that's in here, I can click on a shape, and you'll see up in the top toolbar there's a paint can button, and that paint can button allows me to pick colors. So if I had wanted that to be the light blue, I could do that, but in this case the aorta has oxygenated blood, so it should be red. So if I click on the paint can and choose the light red, I can fill that in light red. So students can also color the shapes if that's something you'd like them to do in the activity. All right, one last pre-made, and then we're going to move on to creating ours from scratch. The very last one I'm going to show you is probably one of the most common ones we're used to, but that's a Venn diagram, just to say that you can go all the way to this end of the spectrum where really you're not giving the students anything other than just a diagram and saying have at it. There's not really a topic here. You haven't told them what to do with it. They can come in and they can type in their own categories. They can then add text boxes, and they can add images. They can come up and use all the tools that we're going to talk about for the rest of the session here to insert images and insert text and create their Venn diagram. So you can go from something as simple and guided as a season sorter where you've already given them pictures that they simply drag and drop, to something that's completely open-ended where they pick the category, they find the images, they find the text, and they put all the information in there themselves. So that is a real quick overview of the first stuff we were going to talk about, which was what we're calling pre-made activities and fill-in templates. What we're going to do now, though, is we're going to shift gears and we're going to talk instead now about creating your own from scratch, okay? And so we really don't need to go through the slideshow at this point. We're going to do this by hand, but just so you know, the slideshow does go into some pretty decent details about that, and then the handout that we mentioned earlier that is linked in on the page goes into much, much, much greater detail about creating things from scratch. But we're going to do that ourselves now. So what we're going to do is say we want to make a graphic organizer that has not been already put together by somebody else. It's not a pre-made activity. It's not a fill-in template. We're just going to have a blank Google drawing, and we want to make our own and make sure that we know how to use all the different tools for that. So first of all, we need to pick what the topic is. For my topic here today, I'm going to do a very simple about me diagram, something that we probably have students do a lot of times in school where they tell about themselves maybe early on in the year just so you can get to know them and they can get to know each other. So I'm going to use that, but it also is a good one because it can demonstrate a lot of different tools that are in Google Drawings. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, what we need to do is go to our Google Drive. And so that's where I'm at right now, drive.google.com. Google Drawings is just a piece of the Google Drive suite, just like you've got Google Documents and Google Slides and Google Sheets and Google Forms. Google Drawings is just another piece of the Google Drive suite of applications. And so if I go to my Google Drive, drive.google.com, and I click on the New button, you'll see that I can create new things like docs and sheets and slides. And if I go down to More, I get to Forms and Drawings. And there it is. So right there, I can create a Google drawing from my drive. And that's what I'm going to do. So New, Google Drawing, and it will go ahead and open that up. All right, fantastic. So here I am inside of my brand new Google Drawing, and we're going to use this to create an About Me graphic organizer and make sure that everybody here is comfortable with all the different tools we can use to accomplish this. All right, first things first. Before we do anything else, we probably should name our drawing. So in the top left-hand corner, you'll see it's called Untitled Drawing. If I simply give a click on that, I can name it whatever I want. I'm just going to call it About Me, and I'll put my name in, Eric Curts, and hit OK, and there we go. I now have my About Me drawing named. Next thing I want to think about before I start putting anything on here is what size do I want this to be? Do I want it to be portrait, landscape? I'm pretty happy with how it is right now, but if you did want to change that, that can be done under File, and Page Setup. So just be aware, if you go to File and Page Setup, you have the option here to switch between standard or widescreen or custom. You can come in here and type in whatever width and height you would like so that it can be more landscape or square or portrait, larger or smaller. That's really up to you. This one looks fine to me, so I'll leave it as it is. The other thing I'm going to do, though, before we start putting things on here, oops, it says something went wrong. Please reload. Okay, hang on a second. I might have lost my connection there for a second. Oh, it's yelling at me that it lost my... Okay, we'll do that again. Sorry about that, guys. New Google Drawing. Here we go. We'll do that one more time. Make sure he's happy with me now. About me, Eric Curts. All right. Very good. So the other thing I wanted to say before we start putting things onto this Google Drawing is we might want to change the background. Now, it probably depends on how good your screen is, whether or not you can see this, but I can see a little bit of a checkerboard pattern on my screen here, and that's because that is showing that this has a transparent background at the moment. It looks white to a degree, but actually it's transparent. There's really no color. If you want to change the color of the background of your drawing, you can simply right-click on it, go to background, and you can pick any color you want, including transparent. But for example, if I picked white, then I would have a truly white background there. Oh, we're still having some issues saving our doc. Well, hopefully that won't prevent us from moving on here. Nope, we are apparently having a little connectivity issue right now. We're going to try that one more time, and hopefully we'll be in good shape. Come on. Work with us here, Google Drawings. We believe in you. All right, so let's try that again. New Google Drawing, and we're going to just change the background and make sure that it's happy with us. All right. Says it's saving, but it's not. We seem to be having a little trouble. I might just end up opening an existing one that I have. Yep, we are having a little bit of trouble at the moment, apparently, with, it says we can't save our changes. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to go ahead and grab one that I've got already, and I'm just going to make some changes to it. For whatever reason, I'm having a hard time starting up a new one. That's okay. I'm just going to open up my Butterfly Life Cycle copy, and I'm just going to go ahead and wipe it clean, and that way we'll at least have something to start with. So that's okay, unless it yells at me as well. So then that's fine. All right, so here we are in our blank Google Drawing. And again, like I said, I want to be able to do an About Me diagram. So I know this says Butterfly Life Cycle, but we'll use this one for the About Me. So what I want to do is I want to probably put something in the middle where I say About Me, and then off of that I probably want to branch off some different things, maybe where I've lived, my hobbies, my family, maybe some contact information, things like that. So how do we start doing that in a Google Drawing? Well, probably the first thing to begin with is adding shapes to our drawing. So if you haven't done that before, just like adding our connectors, there's two ways to add shapes. Up here in the top, we do have a button that has a circle and a square on it. That's the shape button. If I give a little click on that shape button, you'll see that there are loads and loads of pre-made shapes and arrows and callouts and equation symbols that have been provided for you to use in Google Drawings. Now, just like I can get to that from the shape button there, I can also go up to the insert button in the top menu bar, go down to shape, and find the same things there: shapes, arrows, callouts, and equation symbols. Well, I'm going to go ahead and go with a shape, and I think I'm just going to use a rounded rectangle, just something very simple, rounded rectangle. And when I click on that, you'll see that again I get the little crosshairs. This turns into a plus sign. And if I click and drag that out, it drags out that shape for me. And now that shape is on my Google Drawing. I can click on that, move it around, can do a lot of things with it. If I want to make it bigger, grab the handles, the little square handles, and I can make it bigger or smaller. If I want to, I can also change how curved the edges are. You'll notice there's a little yellow diamond up here in the top left-hand corner. That if I grab that diamond and drag it, I can make the edges very curved or not so curved. Now, not all the shapes have that little diamond. It really depends. Some shapes have it, some don't, and it controls different aspects of it, making something thinner or thicker or more severe or less severe. So it just depends upon the shape. I can also, as we mentioned before, I can click on the shape and I can go up to the paint can and I can choose a color to fill. Maybe I just want this to be a white box for the center. That's perfectly fine. If I want to type in the box, it's really nothing more than double clicking on it, and I can go ahead and type in there. So I'll type in about me, and then I'll put my name under there. And then, of course, I can grab that text that's in there, and I can do whatever I want to with that text. All sorts of formatting up here. I can make it larger. I could make it centered. You get the idea. Could probably make it even a little bit bigger than that, but that's fine. Okay, so there's my first box, my About Me box. At this point, I need some more. So I need some other boxes around here. Well, I could simply highlight this, copy and paste it if I wanted to, or I could go back up and I could insert more shapes. So I could come up here again and grab a different shape if I wanted something instead of a rounded rectangle. Maybe I just want a regular rectangle. Drag that out. Maybe make this one light yellow, and we'll have this one be where I have lived. So maybe that's what that box is going to represent, is where I've lived. Okay, and then we'll insert another one. We'll do another rectangle, and for this one, we'll go with we'll have this one be for family. This will be for my family, and it can be light blue. That's perfectly fine for that. And then we'll go up and we'll add another rectangle, and for this one we'll have it be hobbies, and we'll fill that in maybe with a light red, and then we need one more, so let's go ahead and we'll insert a final one over here, and we'll have this one just be contact. So if people want my contact information, we'll put that in that last one, and that looks like we'll do a light green for that. All right. So now I've got my 4 boxes in there. What I want to do is I'd want to connect all of these just like we had done when we were doing the connections for the butterfly life cycle. So to connect from my central box out to the rest of these, that's when I would come up to my line button, click the little down arrow, and choose either the elbow connector or the curved connector, or I could go to insert line and choose it as well. I'll go ahead and stay with the curved connector. That's fine. And again, just as before, I would hover my mouse above these. You get the little purple circles that pop up. And now I can go ahead and click and drag to connect each of these together. And there we go. And as simple as that, I now have my central box connected to all of these other boxes. And again, if I move them around, the connections stay. I don't lose those. Very good. Excellent. Okay, so I've got some shapes in there. That's a good place to start. So I've got some shapes. Oh, and by the way, if you want to get a little bit fun, a little bit fancier with your shapes, you also have this little circle that sticks off the top of the shape, and that's for rotating. If you want to click that, that will allow you to rotate your shapes as well. If you prefer to have these maybe at a different angle, that works fine as well. All right, so in addition to putting in shapes, we also want to add some pictures here. So maybe I want to have a picture of the states where I've lived, and I want to have a picture of some of my hobbies, and I want to have a picture of my family. So what I want to do is I'm going to add pictures for each of these different categories, and as I do it, I'm going to use a different tool each time just so you can see that there's lots of different ways that your students could put images into a Google Drawing graphic organizer. So for the very first one, let's do where I've lived. And for that one, I'm going to use the tool we used earlier, which was the Research tool. Remember that one? We go up to Tools, and then we choose Research. And after we do that, we can come over here and we can search for things including images. So from the search box, I can choose Images. And then I could type in there something like Florida map, because I'm originally from Florida. And maybe I want to make it clip art. So it's, yeah, there we go. So Florida map clip art. Now, any one of these, I could come in, click, drag over to my drawing. It's going to drop that Florida map clip art in there. I can remove the link on it, like we talked about earlier, and I can shrink it up so it's not quite so big. And then I can go ahead and put that over here in this top corner. And then I need to do the same thing for Ohio, because even though I'm born in Florida, I now live in Ohio. So if I did Ohio map clip art, I can now come in here and grab one of these from Ohio. We'll just grab this one, that's fine. Drag that over, remove its link, make it a little smaller, and let's put that up here. And so now that I've got those in there, I could simply connect them like I've connected everything else. Come back up here to my curved connector, drag a line over to Florida, and drag a line over to Ohio. Excellent. And we've got those in there. So that's one way of putting images in using the research tool. Now, there's a lot of other ways you can put pictures into a drawing besides the research tool, and so I want to show you a couple of different options besides that. So another one is using the insert option up here at the top. And after you click on insert, you'll see that from the drop down you get the option to insert an image. Now that same button shows up on the toolbar. So again, if you prefer the toolbar, no problem. You can click the image button right on the toolbar or insert image. And when you do that, it pops up the normal Google tool to be able to add images to a document or a spreadsheet or a slideshow. If you've done that on any other Google tools, you're very familiar with this screen. There's basically 6 different ways that you can put a picture into a Google drawing. Well, one of them, the first one, is uploading. So let's say you have already saved an image somewhere on your computer or a flash drive or your network drive, and you want to upload that image. Well, that's perfectly fine. Turns out I've done that. I've got a picture of my family that I can upload to put and link in for the family option. So by going to insert image and going to upload and clicking choose an image to upload, I can now go to my desktop, and on my desktop I have a folder that I threw this image in earlier. There it is. Go ahead and click on that. You may not be able to see that because it's popping up, but once it pops up, there it goes. Now it's uploading it, and it's going to drop that image in right from my hard drive. I can, as always, shrink that up, maybe put that up in the top right hand corner there, and now grab my connector again and connect my family over to my family picture. So uploading images, very easy to do. What else? Well, if we go back to insert image, you'll see that I could also go to my albums. Now you may say, well, what do you mean by your albums? Well, if you use Picasa Web Albums, or if you use Google Plus Photos, you can upload and store loads and loads and loads of different pictures online. You can also go to your Google Drive if you've got images that you've saved on your drive. Well, for this example, I'm going to go to my albums, and I'm going to go ahead and grab some images for the contact section. So I'm going to go into this one, and I'm going to grab this www image, and I'm going to drop that in because for the contact section, maybe I want to put in a link to my web page, and so I could have that image go in there for contact, and then maybe I want to do my email as well. So same thing here. Let's go ahead and go to insert image. Let's go to my albums, and let's go to my web apps folder. I think I've got a Gmail icon there. I sure do. There's Gmail. Let's drop that in, and excellent. And so now I've got links, I've got images for my web page and my Gmail, and I can go ahead and I can connect those. So let me grab my curved connector, and I'll connect contact over to that, and I'll connect contact over to that. And now I would want to probably go a step further because it's not enough just to have a picture of a Gmail icon. I actually want to make this a link out to my email, and it's not enough to have just a picture of my website icon here. I actually want to link out to a website. So what I can do is I can click on my Gmail icon, and up in the top toolbar there's a hyperlink button, insert link. If I click that, I can now type in something like ericcurts@gmail.com, which is my personal Gmail there. Go ahead and hit apply. And now if anybody clicks on that link, they'll get a link out to my email address. Same thing with the web address here. If I wanted to go out to my web page, I could click on that icon, come up to insert hyperlink, and I could type in www.ericcurts.com which is my website, hit apply, and now that link has been added in as well. So we can get pictures from the research tool, we can get pictures from uploading, we can get pictures from our drive, as well as from our albums. What about pictures that are out on the internet? That's another great way to be able to add pictures to your Google Drawing. So in this case, for hobbies, let's say I want to put in the fact that I like to read books and I like to play around with computers. So I want to put a book in and a computer, and I want to link those in. Now I could use any of these other tools we've used so far, but I want to show you another one that we haven't looked at yet, and that is going out to another website and then dragging and dropping images from those websites right onto your Google Drawing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a new tab, and I'm going to go to openclipart.org. Now you wouldn't have to go just to this site. There's loads and loads and loads of great sites out there that do this sort of thing, and I do have links to those in the handout. So if you go to the handout and you go to adding images, I've got tons and tons of links to such websites. But openclipart.org is a great one. It's all public domain. So if I were to come in here and type in the word book, I'm going to search for a book, I can say, okay, here we go, lots and lots of book clip art. We'll just go with this one right here that says books, give it a click, and you'll see that when I do that, it gives me some options for small, medium, or big. I probably don't need anything very large. Small is perfectly fine, so I can click on small. And once I find this image out on the internet, I can actually click, hold down, and drag and drop it onto my Google Drawing as another way to add a picture there. How do I do that? I simply click, hold down on it, and while I'm holding down on it, I go up and hover my mouse above the tab for my drawing. It switches to my drawing, and then I can let go, and it will drop that picture right onto my drawing. And so as simple as that, I now have a book. I can do the same thing now for a computer. So let's go back to OpenClipArt, and we'll search for computer. And we'll just grab an image of a computer here. We'll go with a small image. I'll click on it, hold down, take my mouse up to the tab for my drawing, let go on my drawing, and it will drop that image in there as well. And so very, very quickly we have started to create a very nice About Me graphic organizer. I can now connect these again, so we'll connect my hobbies to books and computers. Fantastic. So we're moving right along there. Have a really nice graphic organizer. The only thing I'm missing is something very personal. How about a picture of me here in the middle? So let me show you one more option for inserting images that we haven't talked about, and that is using your webcam. So if I click on Insert and I go down to Image, in addition to uploading and going to my drive and my albums and searching and so forth, there's also the option to take a snapshot. So you can see right there, I can simply come in here, choose Take a Snapshot, hit Take a Snapshot, and there we go. It took a picture of me, and I can go ahead and hit Select, and it's going to drop that image right into my drawing, and there it is now. Now that's a pretty big picture. I probably would want to crop that up a bit. So what I can use after I click on the image is there's a crop button up in the top toolbar that if I click on my crop button up here, it allows me to crop the image down by taking off things that don't need to be in it. So I can kind of trim that up a bit. Click the crop button again, and boom, it has now cropped that down. And at this point, I could, oops, undo that, sorry about that. I could move my About Me down a little bit, and then I could take this image and I could actually attach it to the About Me. If I want to group these two together, I certainly can do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to temporarily remove this connector, and then I'll connect it back in. So let me go ahead and delete that connector off for a second. And what I can do is I can take my picture, and then I can hold down the Shift key on my keyboard and click on the About Me to grab both of these at the same time. Or I can simply just drag my mouse to kind of lasso both of them. I can drag my mouse to grab the two of them. There we go, that works as well. And then I can right-click and choose Group. And what it will do now is it's going to actually attach me, it's going to attach the picture of me to the About Me shape. And so you can use grouping to take two items or more items and hook them together so that they stay connected. And again, I simply selected both items, right-clicked and said group. Now I could ungroup if I wanted to separate them. Well, because this is grouped in there now, I can go back to my connector, and I can now connect from my image over to family. Excellent. There we go. So there we have my fantastic About Me graphic organizer. That's all I'm going to add to it. We're going to wrap things up here very shortly by switching gears to what I would do now that I've created this. So just a couple of quick things we're going to talk about as we wrap this up. So one of them is I didn't have to do this entirely by myself. I could have collaborated with somebody else. So real quick, I'm going to invite Anthony to join me on this Google drawing here and just show that that's one of the beauties of anything Google related is you can collaborate. So if students needed to work together on a project, that would be fantastic. One of them could create a drawing, share it with somebody else, and then that the other students in the group could also work on it at the same time or whenever is convenient for them. So to share this with Anthony, what I'm going to do is simply go up to my share button in the top right-hand corner, give that a click, and I simply need to put in his email address. So I'm going to go ahead and start typing Anthony in there, and then I'm going to give him edit rights. Now I could give him edit rights, comment rights, or view rights. View rights would be great if I was creating a template and I simply wanted him to see it and make his own copy that he then would edit. That's fantastic if you're making templates for your students. Comment rights would allow him to leave feedback but not make a change to it. Well, I want him to work with me on this, so I could choose edit rights, go ahead and hit send, and Anthony is now going to get an email sent to him, as well as this will show up in his Google Drive in his incoming folder. He will now be able to open up that link, and he'll be able to join me in this Google drawing, and at that point he could add his own images, he could move some things around, whatever he might want to do. So we'll give Anthony just a moment and see if he ends up, oh, there he is. And so in the top right hand corner I can see the icon that Anthony is actually in the drawing with me. At this point, if he were to click and drag something around, he would be able to move things. Up there he goes. He just clicked inside of the Where Have I Lived box, and you can see he's changed the color to a bright orange. And so we can work together on this document, and of course we could also chat as normal if we wanted to have a chat here in the side conversation here. I could say howdy, and we could have a chat conversation while we're working on this document together. All right. So last things, I'm all done. I've created my graphic organizer. I'm happy with it. I want now to share it with the world. I want others to see it. I want to do something with it. So at this point, the student is done. They've made their graphic organizer and they're ready to turn it in or share it or somehow make it available. How can they do that? Well, there's lots of ways to do that. We're going to look at three really quick, just mention three ways that they could take their final product and make it available. One is just downloading. One of the simplest things they can do is click on File and go down in the menu to Download As. And you'll see that they can download their drawing as a PDF file, as a PNG, as a JPEG, lots of different options there. If they're going to use it as an image, I would recommend PNG. That's probably going to be the best one to keep the colors looking just the way they're supposed to be. JPEGs are more for photorealistic images, so they can sometimes blur things up a little bit if it's more of a chart like this with nice crisp lines. So PNG is probably the best way to go if you're downloading it as an image to put it in something else. But they could also download it as a PDF and just have it as a PDF file. But the point is, whatever they create in here, they could go File, Download As, they could download it as an image, for example, and once they've downloaded that, it's just going to download to their computer. Once they have downloaded that image, they could now take that image and do whatever they want with it. They could put it on a website. They could put it into a Google document or a slideshow. They could email it to you. They could put it on social media. It's an image, and they could do whatever they want with it. So that's one option for taking the final product and doing something with it. Another possibility is going back to the share button like we mentioned earlier. The student could simply go up and click the share button, and they could share the image with other people that they want to be able to access the drawing, but not give them edit rights. Perhaps just give them view rights so they could simply see the drawing. Now, if the student doesn't know who is going to be seeing the drawing, and they don't have, like maybe there's bunches of people that they'd like to be able to see it, or they want to make it public on the web, rather than putting in names and email addresses, instead they can click Get Shareable Link. And if they do that, what it will do is give them a link that anybody could click on. Anybody who clicks on that link can now view that Google drawing, so they could simply copy that link and again put that link on their website, put it out on Twitter, email it out, do whatever they want with that link. Then anybody who clicks on that link would be able to view but not change the document. All right, and then one last option. If the student likes to, if they create websites, if they use Google Sites, for example, Google Sites is works very well with other Google products, and so if you're using Google Sites to create your websites, it's very easy to insert a drawing into a Google site. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up real quick. I have a let me see if I've got that here already. Let me pull this up. Here we go. Jump into this sample drawing. There we go. Excellent. So what, oops, typed that wrong. There we go. Excellent. So here is my Apps User Group website, but I just made a blank page on there. And what I want to show is how in Google Sites it's very easy to go ahead and edit your site and add a drawing that you've created in Google Drawings right into your Google site. So if you wanted to show the mind map on your website, it's really nothing more than going to Google Sites, hitting the little edit button in the top, and then once you're in edit mode, you can go to Insert, and then go over to Drive, and then Drawing. And so from the Insert menu, and then choosing Drive, and then choosing Drawing, I can come in and see all of my recent drawings that I've made, and I can click on one. So this is the one we were just working on right now, and I can select that, and I can say what size I want it to be. We'll go with, I'll make it a little bit bigger, maybe 550 by 700. Drop that in and hit Save, and now that drawing is going to be embedded right there on my Google site. Now what's really neat about this, the added bonus is, because I added it as a drawing, not as a static image, the links actually work. So if somebody were to come in here and hover their mouse above the Gmail or the website link, those are actually live links. They could click on them and it will actually take them out to my web page, or it would open up email to send me an email message. So that's one of the benefits of embedding this as a drawing rather than downloading it first as a PNG, because once you download it as a PNG or a PDF or other things, they will lose those links in there. All right, well, we've gone just a little bit over, but I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this up now and give you a couple of last-minute ideas and links and reminders as we finish this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop back over to our first slideshow just to remind everybody that all of the resources that I've shared with you today can be found at the session resource page at tiny.cc/spark200. And when you go there, that is where you will find the help guide that explains everything, as well as the slideshow, that nice collection of 20 or 30 graphic organizers that you can use and build from. And then this is where the video will show up too. So if you want to watch this again later on, this is being recorded. We will insert the webinar recorded video onto this page as well. Now, the last things I want to mention though on this page that I mentioned very briefly at the start, but I want to say again real quick, is we do have some links near the bottom. One is for the session evaluation. If you click that, that's a real quick, like 5-question evaluation form, gives us feedback, helps us improve these webinars. We'd love to get your feedback on it. And then below that is to get a certificate. The way that we're running these webinars is that you can get a 1-hour certificate of attendance for viewing the training video and then passing a quiz on that. And so there is a link here to the quiz. It's got about 5 questions, not a real big quiz. Just got a few quick questions there that are pulled from the webinar, and if you fill that out and submit it, you'll then be sent an email with your certificate for completing that. In addition to that, please be sure to go to our tech integration page at ti.apps.spark.org, and that's where you can find access to all of the different resources that we provide: Google Apps resources, assessment resources, other tech integration links, but also the upcoming PD schedule. So if you go there, you'll see that in addition to the session we did today on drawings, Anthony's going to be doing one on Gmail. Then we've got some coming up on searching and sharing and more searching and spreadsheets and so on. And so we'll keep adding more and more to this list, and we'll just encourage you guys to check those out live, or if you can't catch them live, come back to our recorded trainings link on our tech integration page, and as these get completed, this list will grow with all of our recorded trainings. So again, thank you guys so much for being here today. We really appreciate those who are joined us live, as well as those that are watching later on. Thank you very much, and we look forward to working with you guys again in the future with other webinars. Thanks so much, and take care.